And we're live. Back to the Matrix. Yes. How's everybody doing out there? Stevie B, Matrix, Boston, you know what it is. Man, did I expect that game last night to be the opposite of my prediction? No, I did not. I literally predicted that game to go the opposite way, expecting the Suns to put it on them, especially late. The Suns did come back right after the half, but that game was pretty much in hand front from the beginning to end by the Clippers. Beginning with Marcus Morris, who hadn't been as I believe he was in a game or two there, but he's back in the lineup and showing why. I respect Marcus Morris, always will. That dude can drop 20 on him any night, and I think last night with Marcus Morris is yes. There's always been no debate. He's the best of the Morris twins. But that game started with Morris both hitting mid-range jumpers, backing cats down, hitting a few open threes, but really he just he got it going for him. You couple that with Jackson. I think Jackson dropped 23 last night. He was big in the fourth quarter. PG, playoff P, the emergence of playoff P, and the impact Boogie Cousins had on the game. This is what I want to discuss about that game. On the Suns' end, Devin Booker, I feel like found his shot a little more, but we're starting to see the growth he still has to do. A lot of times when he's on drive and kick type of moves, his passes were off. He was a lot. And one thing I don't like, I'm seeing a trend where these players aren't going to the hole aggressive. They're going to the hole thinking somebody's just going to move or somebody's just going to slide off of their guy. What you don't understand is with the NBA becoming more three-point oriented is these guys got to be better finishers, period. Fuck the floaters, fuck all that nonsense. Get to the hole because nobody's trying to rotate off of great three-point shooters if they can contest you one-on-one. And if they know your eyes are you really feel like moving the ball. And I'm not saying Booker is normally about that, trying to get rid of the ball before he's, it lets that suffer in his aggressiveness. I don't think that at all. But I do think that despite his shot falling in spots last night, he definitely needs to grow his game. And I don't mean to stay on that for too long. It's just something I noticed last night. CP3, hopefully he's okay, for the next game. I do think that was it might have been a flagrant one to start when Beverly undercut him, but that was once Beverly decided to mark him and be disrespectful, I felt like Beverly should have been kicked out of the game because it's like, that's not funny. And that's why he's a funny nigga. That's why he's a funny little player. Supposedly good on defense, but guards still be balling. And I don't see him locking anybody down in these playoffs. Why did they bring Reggie Jackson there if he was good enough to be anything? He's in the starting lineup by default. All right. So I really have had this beef with Beverly because he's a big mouth and he's not even the fifth most talented player, So I think that's the reason they lost with Doc there. And I think that's the reason they're going to lose this year is because guys like that you allow to even have a voice. He should be playing in the background. I don't care if that's what they got him for, aggressiveness, whatever like that. No, he's overrated. He's overrated. Okay, highly overrated. And disrespectful, like he's about that smoke. But you're never the reason they're winning, and it makes me laugh. I mean, it's just funny. It's funny. I mean, let that team be full and he's a backup. So we all know what that is. You go from being a starting point guard to a backup to they brought in Rondo to again. He's got to fight for his life, and I give him that. But who are you to mock anybody? That's CP3. Don't disrespect. And he should have been given a flagrant 2 and kicked out of the game for that shit. But they want to give Crowder a flagrant 1 when what? Oh, because he hit him in the eye. That's a foul, not a flagrant one. Okay, you gave him the same thing for somebody being a complete reckless player, undercutting somebody's legs, and then mocking them like it's funny after the fact. All right. If this was anybody about that work, they would be all over his ass. And I better hear somebody say get all over his ass. Because to me, that's disrespectful. That's disrespectful. And that's why that man is the scrub he is. All right. Let's be clear about that. I'm calling him a scrub. Okay. That man is supposed to be their guard, and notice that they lost because of guys like him. They got rid of Montrezl Harrell. But you was a cancer too. You got too much attitude and too much smoke. But these dudes, PG and fucking Kawhi, aren't like that. Morris is an actual tough guy who can score. Like, I just don't like that little man complex that you can see in little niggas like that. All right. Sure, he made it to the NBA. But I'm sorry, if you're gonna play scrub like that, you lost my respect. All right. You can be intense, you can have a mouth, but you're a scrub if you're gonna mock undercutting the dude hitting the ground like that. And I don't give a crap what nobody thinks about it. Okay, cancel that dude. He's a scrub. All right. And trust me, they lose this year, you're out. You're not gonna be there next year. Don't get me started on that. Shout out to Marcus Morris and Boogie Cousins, who basically opened up that game on fire. Boogie had anything he wanted. Where the hell? At what point? And then they let it happen again in the second half. At what point do you say, all right, fuck it. They're putting in Boogie. We got to bring DeAndre Ayton back in. Ayton, this is the games for your life. How does Boogie have 10 points and you ain't even in the game and the man's being handed the ball on the block against what, Saric? What was that supposed to do anything? He was getting, Saric was getting smoked. Boogie versus Saric was just unfair. All right. Boogie did great last night. It was him and Morris that literally opened that game on fire. Okay. PG took over when it mattered. The Suns' role players were not on their game last night. Bridges was not on his game last night. I don't feel that Ayton had it. Ayton, I feel like, literally should have been there more against Boogie. I don't like that. I mean, I understand you got to give a guy a rest and they're playing Boogie off the bench, but you getting eaten at the whole lot. Booker needs, like I said, needs to grow as a player. At the end of the day, I kind of feel like that game was one of those things where when everybody on the other team is hitting their shots, and you might still score 100 points, but everybody on the team is hitting their shots, and their big-time guy or their main guy in PG was clutch in the fourth quarter, was playing at his best, essentially, and the past couple of games, what you saw from PG was him not necessarily playing at his best. He might be playing at his best, matching shot for shot, but everybody's nerves were kicking in, missed free throws and such. That was PG front to back in that game, especially late. Everything ran through PG. Everything, That is what I expect playoff P to look like. Now, obviously, he doesn't have to do that with Kawhi in the lineup. But that is what playoff P is supposed to look like. So, shout out to them. Good win last night. Beverly is a scrub. I used to like him. Used to like his energy. And then I just started hearing all the shit he talks on the court and all the shit he talks on the sideline and the way he disrespects players who's not even in their league. They keep bringing in point guards to replace you, bro. You're only there because you have tenacity on defense, and yet you don't even matter defensively. If you're going to be fouling motherfuckers, they can go at you all day. You're messing with Chris Paul. Do you know what you have coming for you the next game? And hopefully Chris Paul didn't suffer any particular injury because of that. Be a shame if he did, by some scrub player undercutting him. Be a shame. Again, love Marcus Morris. One of my favorite players. I love his contributions when he was with the Celtics, and I love what I see every place, every stop he makes. He's a consistent guy on the offensive end. He'll play good rotational defense. He's got size, so he can play bigger bodies. He play, defend 2 and 3 positions. I love that man. That man's a great player. Boogie played great last night. Booker, you got to step your shot up. It's just, it was a weird game to watch because I felt like the Clippers were getting everything they wanted. And didn't expect to see that. So when you look at with PG, Jackson, Morris off the bench, if that's how they're going to defend Boogie, if they're not going to if they're not going to adjust, that could be a problem. But you don't want to tie this series up, Suns. You guys got to take it in the next game, or you may as well ask yourself to have a problem here, because I feel like the Suns are relying on less experienced players and less experienced role players than, and the Clippers are deep in veteran talent. So you don't want to see them in Game 7. Next game is a lot of pressure on the Suns. Let's see if these young boys can step back up. I do not like what I saw last night, particularly because Booker, he was hitting some shots, but he still looks a little off out there. He still looks uncomfortable. I don't know if it's the mask on his face. I'm looking to see Booker have a confident game. And though he dropped some shots last night, to me, it's just a play off the last 2 games he had where I don't think he was completely what he's supposed to be cracked up. I mean, it's supposed to be able to drop 25, 30 with his eyes closed. Chris Paul is just the point guard. How is that not possible? He's made all these other guys better. He's made DeAndre Ayton a standout now in terms of bringing the big man back into the game. I don't know. That's really all I got to say about that. As far as tonight, it's win or go home, Hawks. This is your last chance. Point blank period. They had that game the other day and completely let it go. Giannis has been dominating in the paint, and I expect him to remain in the paint. He shoots mid-range jumpers if he's open to take them. Not that he will make them, but because he's going to just shoot them, Ben Simmons. So later on in the game, when he wants to pull it up fake, someone might accidentally go for it. Ben Simmons, learn a lesson. I expect tonight's game to be, I'm not going to say it's going to be crazy matchup, but I expect it to be competitive. I'm not going to say anybody's going to blow anybody out. I was right about the blowout last night, just on the wrong side of the equation. Tonight, I really don't see it as a blowout so much as the Hawks defending home. They have to defend home. All right, you stole one, and they stole one back. You have to defend home, and that's the only way it's going to. You cannot tell me that if the Hawks lose tonight, they're going to come back. It's your last chance. Trey, you can't play inconsistent point guard play. You have to play your best game of the season. 35, 10 or more, and 5 or more. That means you have to be in 2 or 3 steals. You have to play your best game and the most complete game of your career in order for you guys to win this tonight. Because I don't see the Bucks slowing down now that they seem to have found the formula. With Giannis staying in the paint, with Middleton, with Holiday, with Tucker. Those 4 guys have established what they're doing. And if Brooks not shooting well, they can take him out. And they will do that. And I think they've established what they're doing now, what they're going forward. And that's that base, long, tall defensive lineup of all shooters and defensive guys. The worst defender is Middleton out of all of them. When you talk about Holiday, when you talk about Giannis, when you talk about Tucker, Middleton's technically on the worst defender out of all of them, but still a guy who's capable of taking up space and being a good defender. I'm taking the Bucks in this one. I don't know why. Something in me wants to take the Hawks, but I'm taking the Bucks in this one. I believe if they're up in the second half, the Hawks have got to blow them out for if this is close in the fourth quarter, a 5-point game, short of Trey dropping 3 threes in a row, I gotta give the edge to the Bucks. It's either a blowout Hawks or edge to the Bucks in a tight game, fourth quarter. So that's my prediction. I'll probably say a little bit more about it as I, look into who's playing, what I feel about guys like Herter, who I love, and his impact on the game. But I do feel like Trey defers to him too much, and then, when he feels like it, decides to take back over at point guard. Like, there has to be definitive roles for everybody tonight from the Hawks in order for them to win this game. You need to have Collins, and Collins has to have a big game again, okay? And they have to give something for Giannis and Tucker to defend against. Make them work on both ends. Shooting jumpers is not going to be good enough. So we'll see. That's my feelings on that. Hopefully the speaker went live, but we'll see later on. Matrix out.